Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great day. As we narrow down to the ending or the ending of the semester or the semester coming to an end, this week we have been talking about or introduced to banned or challenged books. And for those that don't know, banned books is pretty much the removal of materials from a library based on the actions, choice of words, and much more. And then challenge books are pretty much books where it's in a attempt of being removed or access to it being restricted based on a person or a group. So really that's what we're going to be talking about today. Uh, and for those that also don't didn't know or didn't keep track of these books, these banned or challenge books have been going on for quite some time now, especially recently or even last year. Um, these books, on the other hand, had a particular reason for why they were either banned or challenged, and sometimes it can also be due to or become a target to those that feel maybe offended or just didn't feel comfortable reading. So the book that I'm gonna get into um, that relates to it being banned is what we're going to get into today. And this is a book that I've read back in high school. And now that I'm a little bit older, it becomes a wake up call and it gets a little deeper as you read it. So hopefully that makes sense. Go to the next slide. Okay, so the book that I've chose is called The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. So hopefully you guys are familiar with this book. If you're not, I would definitely recommend you taking off your time to read it and to get a little insight on what the story is about, and maybe it will give you a little bit of an idea of why they banned this book. So The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison is a novel book which was published in 1970. There are three main characters which I'm going to tackle on today for the sake of time. So Pecola Breelove, an 11-year-old African American girl who didn't feel loved or felt unwanted. Praline Breelove, a mother that couldn't provide for her child, and then Choli Breelove, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, is an alcoholic father who also got Pecola pregnant. So this is really deep, and this is where I'm going to kind of break down the reasons of it being banned. So, Toni Morrison's highlights the controversial aspect of this book by the choice of words, explicit meanings, graphic context, and also identity. So, not feeling love, or someone like Bacola in this case, is not doesn't feel or it's not enough as a person or doesn't feel like she is needed in this earth. This also speaks to racism. And speaking of racism, here's an example in the story that speaks on why racism is so high in the story. Bacola at one point wanted to go to the grocery store and she wants to make a purchase of something, but didn't know how to. And the guy, quote unquote, white guy at the cash register didn't make the situation any better. In our minds, we're thinking that whoever the cash register are would have helped the person, no matter if you're black, white, no matter who you are or what skin tone you represent. I would thought that the guy would help Nicole because she's 11, she's learning, she probably didn't know what to do. She knew what she wanted, but she just didn't know how the money goes as far as spending it. So yeah, the cash register wasn't fond of Bacola, and like I said before, because of her skin tone. And when you're someone who is not a fond of, especially us of people as color, that becomes an offense to us because we feel like, well, hey, what do we do? It's kind of like in now slavery times. So, and then it brings to my next point, which includes why this book is banned. So, the Blues Eye has been banned for various reasons, and it may have become a distraction, especially for those that have or are dealing with the situation like Bacola in the story. So, sexual and violent content is one reason. The equality, no equity, diversity, and inclusion content is another one. distributing languages. And then, as far as the African American, American leader, excuse me, American Library Association stands on the aspect of this book that are controversial is because of the lifestyle or environment. So, in the beginning, that's why this is where I bring in Bacola and her parents. So, Bacola had interest didn't really have a childhood. She lived in an abusive and unloving home where her mother, as mentioned, beginning couldn't provide for her family, and her alcoholic father, who also got her pregnant. And that's another reason why I said I would advise that you guys read this book because it gets deep at some points, and it becomes so eye opening to where you have to kind of question the author, like, well, what made this character create the story, and if it's pertaining or is it relating to what she dealt with, or maybe other people that are probably going through this now or has gone through this, but what do they do to find a solution or make that to avoid or make the problem go away? As a result, the bluest eye being banned concerns by parents, advocacy groups, and school districts. The Blues Eye didn't just highlight the message behind its ban. Instead, it's giving readers a wake-up call, revealing where the books was headed and who are the intended audience. So, the Bluest Eye has a it gives us it becomes one of those books where it's like a mystery book where you're trying to figure out if what who Bacola really was. What did she do to maybe somewhere maybe in the maybe towards middle and end? What did she do that has how should I say this? That allow her to come out her shell a little bit. And another thing I didn't point out, my apologies for not mentioning this, but somewhere in the beginning, she was bullied. She was bullied because of her skin tone. And also, she, in the story, wished that she had blue eyes. Again, her mother was more, she didn't really care for her child too much because she always wanted these blue eyes. Her mom was more like a, hey, you should be like this. You're not good enough. She acts more of somebody else and not herself. And this brings to Bacola's expression towards her mom that she is not a good role model, along with her dad. Now, where her parents in the household that Bacola lives in is very domestic, so that comes to sexual and violent content because of her two parents. They're fighting, they're doing things that is not a great example for Bacola. And Bacola is like, well, what can I do to make myself beautiful? So it all goes down to our why. Like, why is Bacola in this state of the character that she's in the story? Again, who is our target? How can they relate to the story? What are some solutions that pertaining to Bacola that we could maybe pour out to those in need that is in need of help? And for the ones that feel that they don't feel like they're good enough. So hopefully all of this made sense. And yes, but overall, I would recommend and advise that you guys read this book because this book is one of those moments or one of those books where you got to kind of buckle up. You sit down, take notes if you would like, and just definitely allow see where this book is it takes you. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, so that is the ending of my presentation. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you. And here is my reference slide that you guys can go and get the book and read, and also more information on the band of this book. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.